Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to This Week in Final Fantasy XIV. It has been a hot minute since I've had an episode of This Week in Final Fantasy XIV. It was a series I did a while back that was basically just kind of like a news talk show where I could talk about whatever was relevant in the Final Fantasy XIV world at the time, and I just kind of fell out of doing it. I had a lot of other stuff on the table, and some other stuff happened, but we are finally back, and we're going to make this, a staple of the channel, I guess, in a way. It's not going to be weekly. This week in Final Fantasy XIV basically means, whatever is relevant in this current week, and not that it's going to be a weekly installment. That being said, this series will come out as often as there is content to talk about, so there might be a few episodes a week if it's a really news-heavy week, So, without further ado, this week we got some new juicy information to talk about, and it's all from PAX East. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to go to PAX East myself this year, hopefully next year, but I did catch the live stream, and so I have, plenty of information to talk about. So let's just dive right in. To start, we're getting some new Hildebrand in patch 3.3, so that's really cool. Hildebrand is fantastic, although I do have something to admit. I actually haven't done the new Hildebrand in Heavensward yet, so I really need to sit down and do that when I can find the time. But that's cool. I'm really glad that they're keeping the pace with Hildebrand. It's a very, very, it's a really iconic part of 14, The Hildebrand storylines are always they're really funny and really well done, and so I'm definitely looking forward to more, and I can't wait until I have the time to do what has already come out. We also got some news on something that is really, really cool, in my opinion, and that is a phone app that's going to let us talk with friends, our link shells, and our free company members. That is awesome. That's so cool. That's really going to help with keeping in touch with people. If we have an app on our smartphones where we can just, talk with all of our friends and link shell members and free company members and all that good stuff. That's really cool. But on top of that, that's not the only thing this app is going to do. That's just what they have finished right now. Like, they have all of the chat integration finished. On top of that, they are going to try and make it so we can access our retainers and the market boards through this app. So that's going to be amazing. It's really cool that we're finally going to get that sort of integration between our smartphones and Final Fantasy XIV. So I am really, really looking forward to that. We got a minor update on the Butler and Maid outfits that I know a lot of people want, so that's really cool. Yoshi P has said that he approved the contract on his end, and now they are just waiting for the vendor on the other end to approve the contract before it goes through. So it looks like we'll be getting the Butler and Maid outfits probably pretty soon. I'd say in the next couple of months at the very least. So look forward to that. I know I am. The Butler outfit looks fantastic. A question was brought up in regards to the Phantasy Star Online 2 crossover. And Yoshi P mentioned that they have a lot on the table right now, working on the new expansion and everything. But if possible, if they can find the time, they do want to bring over either some gear or some characters from PSO2 into Final Fantasy XIV. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I'm going to be live streaming the Odin fight in PSO2 when that goes live. So if you watch my live stream, if you follow my, my Twitch account or whatever, you will be able to see the Odin fight in PSO2 as soon as that comes out, so look forward to that as well. Somebody also brought up a question about parry. Since I am a tank myself, this question is very dear to my heart, and he was curious if they had any plans on improving the parry stat. And Yoshi P acknowledged the fact that it just isn't really that great right now, and they're aiming for either patch 3.4 or possibly 4.0 to start making some adjustments to make parry a useful stat for tanks, something we will, most likely want to have in our gearing. So that's really cool. I'm excited to hear that they're finally going to, make parry relevant. It's never been relevant. Ever since 2.0, it's just been never, ever relevant. And it's just, it's a pointless stat. And it's like you see parry, you're like, ew, parry. I don't want that on my weapon. I don't want that on that piece of gear. I want it gone. Get rid of it. And so now that might not be the case in the future. So very cool. But the biggest thing to talk about here, the biggest thing, is the Deep Dungeon, otherwise known as the Palace of the Dead. This content looks absolutely fantastic. I am very, very excited for this. As a Final Fantasy XI player, it reminds me a lot of Nyzul Isle, so I'm really excited. For those of you who are out of the loop, however, the Palace of the Dead is basically going to be a new type of casual content that can be challenged either solo or with up to 4 players. The way they worded it makes it seem like we're going to be able to go in with either, 2 other people or 1 other person, and it will still be, tuned to whatever size group you have. So that's really cool if that is the case. The wording seems to imply as much, so, fingers crossed that is the case. Now, another really, really cool thing about this is it has its own separate gearing and leveling system, in that when you enter, you will be put to level 1. Any equipment or item levels you have will not count. They won't have any influence on your stats or your skills or anything in there. So you will be able to play with friends of all levels. It'll all, whether your friend's level 1, level 30, level 50, 60, it does not matter. You will be able to play with them and you will all be on the same playing field as far as gear is concerned. So you'll enter, you'll be level 1, you'll have this base level of gear. And how it works is you progress through these floors of a dungeon, fighting enemies and bosses and the like. And you can find stones that are laying around that will enhance your stats and give you equipment and upgrades. Although, apparently, those stones can also be traps, so you have to be careful. You might go to oh, look, it's an upgrade, and you go hit it, and enemies spawn instead of you getting an upgrade. This content is also supposedly going to be randomly generated, so every time you go in, it's going to be a new experience, right? We don't really know what they mean by randomly generated. It could either be they have 10 different presets of a certain floor. It could be that the floor is divided into X amount of sections and each section has a different variant, and it's completely randomized. We have absolutely no idea exactly how random it's going to be. If it's going to be, Diablo style random dungeon generation, who knows? I hope it's that way. That'd be really cool. Keep everything fresh, give us some new stuff to explore. So that's really cool. We got some screenshots of the area and some of the enemies and stuff like that. It does look a little bit rehashed from, previous Amdapor or, that style of ruin, which necessarily isn't bad. I wish it was something new, some new assets. I'm sure there will be plenty of new assets inside of it, but at the very least, I can understand why they're doing it. Just kind of keeping things simple and keeping things accurate to the aesthetic of the lore, since it's, it takes place in the Black Shroud, so it makes sense that the ruins would be in that style of, architecture and all that stuff. They're going to add new floors in the, future updates, so it's going to be a continuously expanding bit of content, which is really cool. And on top of that, they also plan on adding a score ranking system in the future. And this will be for, I don't know if it's going to be for parties, but they did specifically mention for solo players, they will have a ranking system. And how it's going to work is it will be job based. So you will have, your own personal rank on how far you can get solo for X job. And I think that'll be really neat. It'll give us something, to compete on that isn't necessarily PvP, It's something just purely PvE, a way to, test ourselves against our friends and other people in the community. I think that's really, really cool, and that'll be a lot of fun. It's also going to have save points as you progress through. So if you go, maybe this is, pure speculation based off of Nyzul Isle, for example, which is very similar content from Final Fantasy XI. You might go up 5 floors and then you'll have a save point, and then you go up another 5 and you have a save point. But let's say you go up to floor 5 and you get that save point, and you go up to floor 9 and you die on floor 9, you'll go back to the save point at floor 5 and have to start all over again to climb your way back up. But again, that's, speculation based off of Nyzul Isle. It seems really similar. It could be a save point on each floor, every 2 floors, every 3 floors. Every 5 floors is probably what it's going to be. That's what I'm guessing personally, but that remains to be seen. It's also going to have an independent progression system. So even if you've progressed, really far and your friends haven't, you will most likely have to start with them until they're up to where you are, and then you both will start to progress at that same point. So you won't be able to like bring someone into like a really high tier that they have not yet reached themselves. And all of this is scheduled for patch 3.35. Patch 3.35. So it's coming up really quick. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to give us something really cool to do. So we got Hildebrand on the list. We got this new Deep Dungeon. We got new Void Arc. And patch 3.3 is shaping up to be pretty cool. I'm really excited for it. This will definitely help give us, something a little more to do. Fingers crossed that we get like some sort of diadem update to make that a little more, worth doing, incentivize it a little bit more. I know I poked fun at it in my recent short, but I really hope they do something with the diadem as well to make that more relevant and get people in there doing it outside of just having the, like the pony, you can get the Pegasus or whatever, or materia. They need to spice that back up and make that also relevant content, because that will really help, flesh out our, weekly things to do. Give us more content to chew on. But I think we'll wrap things up here. I about covered all the major points from PAX. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next episode, which should be soon because we got another live letter coming up really quick. Until then, have a great day, have a great week, and I will see you next time.